Hi, my name is Israel Vasquitelli, and welcome to the Turntable, a roundtable discussion featuring entertainment and music business students, artists, and anyone with a vested interest in the music industry. And today we have an amazing panel, including Zandy Ashley, a wonderful singer-songwriter from New Mexico. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
And we're going to talk about a subject that we could probably spend the remainder of the day and tomorrow covering, but we're going to do it in a short amount of time and kind of get to the nuggets, and that is the music industry and how social media has changed it. So the first thing that my producers put together for us to discuss is there a real need for A&Rs in the climate and the environment we're in regard to all of these artists kind of making and creating success on their own using social media? What do you folks think? I know you have an opinion.
Yeah, I'd say yes, but in a non-traditional sense, where the former A&R's perspective, like the Dame Dash, is I coach the artist, I'm with them every day, I'm in their personal lives, I'm making sure that they're always clean cut when they speak to press, when they do articles, etc., they're on point. Now I feel like it's more of a social media manager, because who you are on Twitter is who you better be in real life, or you lose that authenticity to you, which is so important. I feel like it's a coach mentality, but it's also building a team to make content. That's like important. So if the older A&Rs know how to make content, they don't know how to do that. That's like they're from the 80s and 90s, or they're older gentlemen. They're not aware of how the internet works. Younger cats might have a better process with this, only because, okay, I need to find photographers. I need to find graphic designers. I need to make sure the way I reach out, this is like my interview now. My press release is on Instagram. That's that one post. That's what people get you hyped about the album, not the interview with Billboard anymore,
Indeed. No, great points. And in reality, it's interesting because I think we always are going to have A&Rs, regardless of what we call them. In many ways, they're curators of talent, but it is interesting that in many ways, social media has kind of circumvented that, going out into those grimy venues and just going through raw talent. In many ways, they kind of want to see that already happening on its own before they even think about signing that artist, right? So what do you think? What are your thoughts about social media? A&R, is it dead? Is it just a tool? I know Darrell has something he wants to say. I could tell.
Oh, man. No, social media, you have to have it. I think it has to be part of what you do, but A&R is really, they're managers, like he said earlier. They're managers without the management title. That's just what they are. Like, the way you're consuming music now, streaming, is curated playlists, and that's how you build your audience. They don't want to build your audience for you. They want you to come with your audience already built. They want to sign turnkey artists. They don't want to have to build. I believe in real artist development, me personally, when I'm working with an artist, but they don't really want to do that because they feel like you have the tools already out here, so get yourself hot. They want to take you from zero. You got to get yourself from 0 to 60. They're going to take you from 60 to 100, but you got to get yourself from, like, let's say the rap game, right? So Jermaine Dupri's the rap. So he's looking at kids that pretty much already have a following already. So he's just taking them now from 60 to 100. We're going to use our platform with our budget to get you now on a national level, where the real influencers know who you are. Instagram, social media knows who you are, but now the people in the industry, and he does a great job of doing that. But he's not going to take somebody who's nobody, because then he has to build them. He don't really want to build you. He just wants to use his resources to now take you to the next level.
Indeed. So we have a producer and an artist on our table today. So I'd love to maybe learn a little bit about how you folks use social media to build your brands online.
I guess, like, as an artist, like, I would like to have someone to help me manage my content, because I'm an independent artist, so that means I have to kind of handle all the social media as well as have my content, all my music, and it's fun being able to, like, handle my own social media because it's who I am. It's me genuinely putting myself out there, but it can take a toll sometimes and can be overwhelming.
Indeed, there's a lot to do, right?
because you have to know your audience, you have to know when to post, and all those other things that are behind the scenes besides the music.
Indeed, no question about that. So what do you think, Miles?
Well, I approach social media like I'm trying to sell a product. You know, like it's no longer CDs anymore. So my Instagram post is my CD. And the only difference now is I can sell it infinite times. So I sell the CD, I have no more CDs. If I make that post, if I create that content, it can then be resold. Just because someone's seeing it, I can sell it to them by how it looks. They're going to be more interested to listen to the stream. Since it's all streaming, they don't care if you sell it physical. But if the Instagram post is like that, they buy what I'm saying or they buy what they're seeing, they're going to listen to the music. You know, and whether they like it or not, you know, I have people I follow, I don't like their music. I love the way they present their music, though. And that's something that I can study. You know, I invest in the camera. I invest in lenses. I study graphic design because I understand the importance. And then I feel personally, I've dealt with 3 social media managers so far. I haven't found one that really fits yet. For me, I will hopefully one day because it's a lot of work. It's definitely not an easy grind, but it has to be 100% me. You know what I mean? So until I can find that, I do everything, you know, myself. And I think I've achieved a pretty high level of that. And I've gotten sales of products and I've sold to artists, you know, productions that I've done just through content. I never contacted them. I don't know who they are. They contact me, hey, is this for sale? I'm like, yes, it is.
Awesome. Well, I mean, in many ways, if you think about not only the promotion piece of social media, but also the networking piece, as someone that's worked in management, obviously networking is paramount. If you don't mind talking a little bit about maybe some ways that either artists or people that work with them could use media to kind of reach out and create something that's not already there. What do you think?
Well, one of the best things about social media is that it's free. And it really is a who do you know, who do you know, who do you know? Hey, take a listen to this. And nobody's going to look at anybody that doesn't have like 50,000 likes. I mean, honestly, that's what they're looking at. It's free, and you need to have a following that's already there. And it is a small world. It is a small world, and people know each other. Tour managers know other tour managers. Artists know other artists. And that's how great bonds are formed and made. And take somebody like Max Martin, who's had a hit song every single year except last year. Well, this year he's got something great coming up, and it's just exciting. And I just think that social media is here to stay. And going back to the A&R thing, there are artists that don't like to play in front of others. Steely Dan is one example. It's kind of interesting that Steely Dan's going on tour now, and Steely Dan was a hit and came out with their albums. They had stage fright. They wouldn't come out and play because they just couldn't. But now, you know, fast forward 30 years, and they're out there playing, and their fans love them. So that's where social media also plays a big part. And as far as the big artists, what I've noticed is not only are the artists themselves getting involved, but their wives, their kids, the other family members, they're all getting a following on Twitter or Facebook or something else, because you've got fans that'll do anything to be with. You know, I mean, just think about it for yourself. I mean, what would you do to spend time like this with your favorite artist? You know, there's certain people that would give their right arm and right leg and, you know, just to spend some time with their favorite artist because, you know, I'm their number one fan.
Indeed. No, those are great points. I mean, first of all, obviously the connection, whether we're talking about from a business perspective, a B2B, or we're talking about the fan to the artist, that connection is always the most important thing. I also like what you mentioned in regard to artists that maybe don't feel comfortable performing. You could kind of be an introverted artist, and you mentioned your product is an Instagram post, which is an interesting perspective. Now, the one thing you brought up, Margaret, about your family online. So let's talk a little bit about that. Can it be bad, and has it hurt the environment. So in other words, we have
I
all
can
these
talk directly to that.
we have all
talking
these
about-
distractions. Go ahead.
I can talk directly about that with the new Nick Carter accusation with the Backstreet Boys. Nick Carter, if you haven't read already, has been accused of raping a girl back in 2002. And it, whether it happened or it didn't happen, the fact that it's coming out now is kind of taking away from the fact that the Backstreet Boys have a new album that's going to come out, and they're in Las Vegas playing a residency, and they're doing some great stuff, but a lot of stuff they can't be putting out there because, I check several times a day on what's in the press on Backstreet, and this allegation is, or that's just one example, but you can see it from all different types in the entertainment industry where the kids or the wife or the husband or somebody else is doing something they shouldn't be doing, or coming off negatively or not supporting, and it really takes people down, especially today in this environment that we have. Everybody here right now has a camera with them on their phone, and if you saw somebody doing something wrong, you're going to take a picture, and it's going to be out there. And so it's a totally different environment. And is it good? Is it bad? It's just people want more knowledge. Knowledge is powerful. Do I know? Did that happen with Nick Carter? I have no idea. I wasn't there, and it's too bad that it's taking over some headlines when it there's something that if it happened, it should be settled in court. But we're
Indeed.
not going to settle it right here.
Right.
And to
Indeed.
add to that, sorry.
Yeah. Sure.
To add to that, with the whole direct-to-consumer, when you make a post, I think Cameron is a good example. His ex-girlfriend, he leveraged the scenario in a very good way. She looks very good. He built her social media up. They get brand partnerships. They make more money. So she built her following because, her boyfriend was of a high stature in the industry as an artist. And then she leveraged that to get more brand partnerships, and they make more money. So it can be used in a positive way as well in that regard.
Definitely. The Kardashians kind of use social media in that way. They're everywhere, and they're just raking in all the cash. And as you were saying about, anyone could take a picture or video, anything that happens is so widespread and quick, news and, drama, even if it's fake or true. If someone says something and it catches someone's attention on social media, then it's gonna spread like crazy.
Yeah, and in many ways, it gives artists maybe that have been dormant. We all know about artists that have in many ways reinvented themselves on social media that once upon a time had a really strong, visible career. As happens in the industry, things come in waves. And social media kind of brought them back to that spotlight. In some cases,
Charlie
for better
Sheen.
or worse. For better or worse,
I
sometimes.
think, somebody like Plies
Yeah.
here locally in Fort. He is completely. People probably forget he even raps. He even rap, you know what I mean? And so I think it's smart. In order for you to hang around this industry for 30-something years, LL Cool J, right? It's 85 his first record. He's still relevant because you have to reinvent yourself. You can't do the same thing for 40 years and think people are going to care. These kids now, you have to embrace the internet. A lot of these, I want to call older artists, no disrespect to them, but I just had a conversation earlier. The way you work records are different. The way everything you do is different. So you have to be willing to embrace social media technology and the people. That's just the way it is. If you're not willing to do that, you can't. It's hard to be successful in this business. Going back to, like you said earlier, I teach artists personally, like you said, super fans. They'll do anything to be with you. It's about relationships. I think social media creates the relationship, and then now you can really take that relationship and take it to the next level. People will pay for that. And I always tell artists that don't put a dollar amount on what your music means to somebody else.
Right.
It can literally mean $500. They love. I'm being real serious. One of the artists that I work with is Xavier Keys from Chicago. I manage him personally. He's got a fan in Spain that pledged $200 to his Patreon account. What does that mean? Every time he releases through Patreon, her debit card gets charged $200. 50 people, that's $10,000. All right, so it doesn't take that much to make a living in this business.
And that's kind of one of the beautiful things, I think, and I love what you said about the Instagram post as your product, because once upon a time we had these homogenized shelves in retail. We still have them.
Right.
And those homogenized shelves, one size fits all, had a one size fits all price point for a CD, for a vinyl record, a cassette, whatever it is. As we're starting to see less of that, especially in mass merchants. So Best Buy recently announced that they were doing away with CDs, I believe starting summer of 2018. We now have this opportunity online, and also you still have relevant spaces in the physical world, maybe not traditional, where you could put this product that isn't that one-size-fits-all product that is going to compel that super fan to act and show the support with their wallet and buy something that maybe once upon a time you could only sell for $12.99, and now you can sell it for $200.
Right. It's incredible, and it just because people want the experience. I think your music is cool, but it's the experience. People want to. That's why I teach artists. Don't worry about the music. The music's gonna be all right. We want to build you.
Well, that's why
That's what they care about. They care
these
about you.
cruises. A lot of these bands and things are doing cruises. We did some with Howie D and the Lupus Foundation, and I mean, somebody paid $10,000 to hold Howie's hand and walk up a waterfall.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they'll just do whatever. I mean,
it's incredible.
I mean, they're whatever it'll do. I mean, and it's wonderful. Absolute. It's wonderful for the foundation. The Lupus Foundation got 10 extra grand right there, and it just worked out great. But I think the fan really wants the experience. Right. And like they'll do pre-shows, as you see now, they've got VIPs where you spend $500 to listen to the sound, the testing before, and maybe meet them backstage, and then that doesn't even include your ticket. Right. And then the after shows, are what's the moneymaker, because people are like, wow, I want to go have a drink and listen to somebody, playing, not even playing their music. Right. And that's a moneymaker right there on the after shows, because all they're doing is having something to drink and meeting their super fans.
And all that's being spread on social media. That's how they're finding out about it.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what I it boggles my mind. Everybody, well, I want to be. I just wrote a blog post on this on my website. Everybody wants to be famous. Like, you don't need to be famous in this business to make money. You're trying to get a core audience. I think what this comes back down to. Use social media to help build that core audience.
And it includes being interactive.
Yes.
Not just the fan saying, I love you, I love you, I love you. You got to come back and say, hey.
You got to have personality. You got to have personality. You have to have. So let's talk a little bit about that. Content has to show who you are. Mm-hmm. And since we have an artist on the panel, I'd love to maybe learn a little bit about some of the things that you've done online with your audience, and maybe some lessons that you've taken from that.
I like to go on like Instagram Live or Facebook Live and just like play like songs. Like people like that. People like kind of just like seeing the real you, playing music, and it kind of gets to see the real side of you, how you are, like without the cameras, Mm-hmm. And I like doing that. That's something I like to do.
Awesome. Do you do live video?
Yeah.
Nice. So what do you folks think? Any thoughts on interesting ways that artists or creators could use social media to kind of put something different out there and stand out? I mean, there are people everywhere doing it. What could they do differently? What could they create differently? What do you think?
So Noriega is a perfect example here. So older artist, no one really remembered him. He hadn't put an album out in years. He started a podcast called Drink Champs. Off an organic idea of how they were just operating in the studio day to day, having fun, whatever. And right now, I think they're over 100 episodes right now. They're in year 2. They're now partnered with Revolt on
third season of a third season of the podcast on Revolt.
Exactly. And it's the number 1 hip-hop podcast in the world. It surpassed every podcast that was already going on for 20 years. Rap Radar, which existed long before, they already surpassed that in ridiculous amounts. And the rawness is what is super important about it. Is they're shooting 2 to 3 4-hour episodes. There's no editing. They just go straight through it, and there's just wildness. The whole concept is really organic. So you can see exactly who Noriega is, and people fell in love with him as a person. His music's almost like whatever at this point, you know? He hasn't put out music in a while. Exactly. He doesn't need to put out music anymore, you know?
Indeed. And I mean, there's so many examples of that. Joe Budden is another example. I mean, he kind of owns anything related to hip hop and trends and the culture, and anything you read on any blog is about him. And he's another artist that kind of, you know, had his height and kind of reinvented himself online. So it looks like we have gotten so deep into the discussion. I told you we could talk about this for days, that we need to wrap up. But I want to make sure that everybody stays tuned for an amazing performance from our artist, Zandy Ashley, right now. Thank you. See you next time.
Two hearts can build a roof. Loyalty, that's bulletproof. Come on now, we've got it good let loose. Come on now, we've got it good let loose. If this house starts burning down, where did we go wrong? All we built within these walls suddenly all gone. But I know that won't happen. We're right where we belong. But if this house starts burning down, where did we go wrong? Where did we go wrong? Where did we go wrong? This foundation strong as oak. Roll it up, baby, take a toke. Riddle me this: if the sky were to fall, would you run away or stick with me through it all? I don't doubt you, I'm just cautious. Look around us, we brought all this. I don't doubt you, I'm just cautious. Look around us, we brought all this. If this house starts burning down, where did we go wrong? All we built within these walls suddenly all gone. But I know that won't happen. We're right where we belong. But if this house starts burning down, where did we go wrong? Where did we go wrong? Where did we go wrong? Burning down, where did we go wrong? All we built within these walls suddenly all gone. But I know that won't happen. We're right where we belong. But if this house starts burning